We live in a world that is disrupted right, left, and center, not just by technology, but geopolitical politics, by different elements that happen globally. And business schools are part of the world. They are a main stakeholder shaping the future leaders, entrepreneurs, policymakers. Well, if we look at over the last 50 years, digital transformation became part of our lives. So to run an institution, digital transformation is becoming central on how leaders should address it, included to deal with the developments and the challenges that are taking place. That whenever there is a challenge, there is room for opportunity. There is a room to change things. There is a room to adapt to these developments and become more creative and more innovative. Continuous improvement is part of our lives. I mean, at the individual level, at the organizational level, not just business schools, and at the societal level. Unless we continuously aspire to improve, we'll become complacent. We have to understand that AI was not invented 2 years ago. This is a new development of AI, and AI has been there for a long time. It has its ups and downs, but it's been there for a long time. And it's just another phase of the acceleration of digital transformation. They have one purpose, is to shape the minds of the future leaders. How can we prepare the minds of future leaders to go out there and make a difference in society?
Hello everybody, let me introduce you to a speaker and the topic that you were talking about in this podcast. We have on our Dr. Sherif Kamel, Professor and Dean at the American University in Cairo. He heads the Management Department and involved to continual transformation of this institution. He earned a PhD in Information System from the London School of Economics and before joining in this university. He has a director of the regional IT institution. He has been a visiting faculty for degree and non-degree programs to many prestigious management institutions across the globe, including Kellogg's and Northwest University. His research and interests to management and information technology. So the talk for today is discussion to impact of digital transformation on business worldwide. This talk, which is close to his heart, as well, he has authored of book leading change in the challenging times, lessons and disruption and innovation from Egypt, thoughts, observations and reflections. So, welcome.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask about our first question, meaning to VUCA, the volatile, uncertain and complex and ambiguous word. So what are the implications for the organizations about this VUCA's word?
So first of all, thank you so much for having me. We live in a world that is disrupted right, left, and center, not just by technology, but geopolitical politics, by different elements that happen globally. And business schools are part of the world. They are a main stakeholder shaping the future leaders, entrepreneurs, policymakers, and their role is to prepare future leaders to deal with the developments that are taking place. Well, if we look at over the last 50 years, digital transformation became part of our lives. So to run an institution, digital transformation is becoming central on how leaders should address it, included to deal with the developments and the challenges that are taking place. When you mentioned the word VUCA, we live in a VUCA world. We live in a world that is volatile, that is ambiguous, that is complex, that is uncertain. But for me, that's much of a tone of negativity. We need to address those issues, but I also always feel that whenever there is a challenge, there is room for opportunity. There is a room to change things. There is a room to adapt to these developments and become more creative and more innovative. That's why I like way more than VUCA, the term facts. Well, facts is different. and many people tend to be more positive. So becoming more flexible, more transformative, more creative, quicker, adaptable. If you look at that element from that perspective, you don't let go the challenges, but you are always driven by how to transform those challenges into opportunities. And I think digital transformation help organizations, whether they are government, whether they are private, whether they are civil society organizations, to build on those platforms and try to transform their future.
Good. So my next question is connected with your answer, because how do you foster a culture of continuous improvement within the business school, and what metrics or indicators do you use to measure the progress?
That's a good question. Continuous improvement is part of our lives. I mean, at the individual level, at the organizational level, not just business schools, and at the societal level. Unless we continuously aspire to improve, we become complacent. And the world is moving extremely fast, regardless which industry we're in. And again, business schools prepare future leaders. They end up working in government, in businesses, in startups, and unless they're resilient, they're relevant, they're quick, they're focused, they have a mission, they have a purpose that they want to achieve, they lose track. And given that background, you need to set the tone on how you continuously improve. I personally feel that we're learning on the go. In this fast-moving, disruptive world, we're learning on the go and we're adapting on the go. So the more you become adaptable, the more you become competitive, the more you understand the dynamics of the marketplace, of the ecosystem. Well, we've been talking over the last few years, especially since November 2022, about Gen AI. And everybody's speaking about the fact that will machines replace people? What's going to happen in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? And of course, like any new innovation, it's accelerated and it comes with its questions, with its sort of opportunities, but also with its threats and challenges. Well, we have to understand that AI was not invented 2 years ago. This is a new development of AI, and AI has been there for a long time. It has its ups and downs, but it's been there for a long time. And it's just another phase of the acceleration of digital transformation. But for me, the acceleration started a long time ago. The acceleration, in my mind, started early in the 80s, when one of us bought a PC and he or she had it at home. And then a few years later, we became connected. A few years later, mobility came through. And then the most recent development is Gen AI. So how can organizations, including business schools, adapt to all those changes? We're living in an age where everything is accelerated. And machines can help us do that. And what I mean by machines is whether it's the computer that we use, the tablets and the iPads that we use, or the phone that we have in our pockets. The incredible amount of data that we get access to help us to get exposed to the world, to know the piece of information that comes to us. So it's more of an information pull rather than an information push as before. And unless we factor all that into how we run our lives, the way we study, the way we work, the way we communicate, we're lagging behind. And I think the future is not a place for the laggards. So circling back to machines are going to replace people, I don't think so. I think more exposed, more accessible, more adaptable, more skilled people are going to replace those who are less skilled, less adaptable, not the machines. And my view is for the foreseeable future. So how, as an organization, can we benefit from that? Well, in the context of a business school, we are a feeder of graduates to different organizations. So how can we adapt our programs for the students of today, the leaders of tomorrow, have the knowledge, the exposure, the academic rigor, but also the skills and capacities in leadership, in resilience, in communication, in time management, in project management, in critical thinking, in creativity, so they can go out there and make a difference in society.
Good, good. So, Dr. Sherif, yeah, we are an emerging economy. And what are your key learnings from Deaning and Business School in an emerging economy at time to continue the social, political, and economical transformations?
AUC School of Business is in Egypt. The university was established back in 1919, so we're 105 years old. The roots of the School of Business dates back close to 80 years. Our very first program was established back in 1947 at the business school. And you're right, Egypt is an emerging economy, a large population with endless amount of opportunities. Some of them are tapped into, some of them are still untapped. But at the end of the day, business schools, with their similarities and differences, in the bigger scheme of things, they have one purpose, is to shape the minds of the future leaders. How can we prepare the minds of future leaders to go out there and make a difference in society? So it depends. Each business school has a path. Our path obviously adapts as the market develops. But we need to be extremely careful we don't live in silos. We need to keep an eye on what's happening globally in the world, but also having close attention to developments that are taking place in our own markets. So we develop the future leaders as a global citizen while focusing on the issues that are important for our society. Those issues over the years change. So how can we ourselves adapt and continuously improve in our offerings? And the offerings of the business schools of the day and the next gen business schools in the world are not just academic degrees. They're the academic degrees, they are the research endeavors, they're the centers, whether research-based or non-research-based, the case studies that they develop, but also most importantly, the community development activities and initiatives. They try to reach out beyond the campus borders to help society. So I keep on saying that a business school is a major stakeholder in society. They look at the issues, they try to be the convener of the conversations, they try to, through their research, to impact the policy that can, in the context of an emerging economy or even a developed economy, make a difference, always improve. It's a competition out there. We have to face it. And resources are limited. But the one element I think that everybody is chasing is, for me, the most important asset in society, people. Everybody is after talent. Everybody in the world is after talent, including us. So we try to recruit the best students, we try to recruit the best faculty, and we try to shape those students to become the leaders of tomorrow.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for your insightful feedback on these questions. Now, another question which comes to my mind, because you have been teaching for long, I think over 32 years now, and some of your students have already become ministers, leaders in leading global corporations, as we were discussing outside, right? Now, what are the key lessons you have to inspire future leaders, basically? 2 or 3 key lessons for future leaders which you have seen, which you have groomed basically over the period of time. So many students of yours are already big leaders basically in large multinational corporations basically.
Well, that's a $1 billion question. And the one thing I can say, I myself consider myself as a student of life. You never get there. You keep on learning. So I was fortunate to be part of an organization that is involved in education and lifelong learning. But I promise you, as a faculty, and equal to many other of my colleagues, faculty colleagues, we teach our students how to go out there and make a difference, but we also learn from each other and learn from the students. I mean, over the years, Students are getting more exposed, more knowledgeable, given the incredible amount of information that we have access to, and the conversations that we have in the classroom and outside the classroom are extremely important. And many good ideas come through that actually lead to sometimes even program offerings, projects, and the like. So the first thing is keep learning. And I go back to a famous quote by Alvin Toffler: we keep on learning, unlearning, and relearning. That's exactly what we keep on saying. He said that over 44 years ago, and it's still very valid. The amount of information out there is incredible. The knowledge out there is incredible. And we live in a world where co-creation of knowledge is becoming extremely important. The silos, the vertical ways of looking at things won't work anymore. The more interdisciplinary, the more collective, the more diverse people are, the better results we end up with. So lesson number one is keep learning, keep raising the bar. And that's very extremely important. The second is, which I alluded to in my first point, nothing is more important than collective thinking, collective working, teamwork. You bring in different aspects, you bring different perspectives, which always leads to better results. The silos attitude usually have its own limitations. You cannot go far with a silos attitude, because a silo attitude is something that stays with you. You need to be open to different ideas. You need to be open to different perspectives. And maybe the third point would be being ready to accept that you're wrong. Being ready to accept that I thought it was a good idea, but it's not. Or maybe a certain idea was good at a certain time, but things have changed. Maybe another point I would share is people get obsessed with technology. Because in our life, everybody uses technology all the time, in anything we do. That is wrong. Technology is just a tool. Everybody uses technology to be better at something. So for me, coming from a business background, technology is all about business transformation. It's all about change management. It's not about using the technology. Sometimes a more basic technology can lead you to be more impactful than a very advanced technology that has its own limitation or that you can't use it efficiently.
Right, absolutely right. And that maybe answers that point that more than 84% projects in digital transformation are failing. Even if they are employing the large consulting organizations. There are a lot of articles floating around in HPR, Forbes, BCG, and all of these leading publications that 84% projects fail. Now, there is one confusion which we have, which I want with your help to be cleared to the world basically through this podcast. What exactly is digital transformation? Because some people confuse it with a technology project that you implement a cloud-based solution, we have done digital transformation. Now, some people confuse it with a business transformation project, which is the role a strategy person has to anyway perform in the company, even if they use digital tools or not. What is the simple layman perspective or understanding of digital transformation?
Sure, let me address that point, but let me first say one last thing in the tips for future leaders.
Yes, yeah.
The more you know, the more you go up the ladder.
Yes, sir.
The more humble you should be. Because in fact, the more you know, the more experience you have throughout your life, the more you realize there is a lot more out there that you don't know.
Yes, sir.
It's not the other way around.
Yes, true.
It's the more you know, the more you realize how much you don't know. Right. And the more humble you are, the more listener you are, the more engaging you are with people, the better you will become as a leader. So switching to the issue of digital transformation, well, to put it in a very simple format, digital transformation is not automation.
Right.
As simple as that. So this is the shortest answer. But if I can elaborate a bit more on that, we have an organization, we have some processes that are not working.
Right.
You can't digitize that, because simply, if you digitize that, you end up with a bad process that is digitized. So you didn't do anything. You just spend more money.
Yes, sir.
So digital transformation is how you try to, as much as possible, using the technology that the company affords, that the people are trained to use, to be better at what you do, to become more efficient at what you do.
Absolutely.
And in digital transformation, there are 4 building blocks. The technology part, the infrastructure part, is the least important.
Absolutely right. Yeah. True.
The most important element is the people who use the technology.
Very
It's
nice.
the
mindset.
the human
basically.
element,
Mindset. Yes.
the mindset.
Yes. Yeah.
They need to be trained, they need to know how to use it, and we need to recruit the right people to use it, to have the right approach to use it. The number 2 element that comes to the equation is the data. Again, if you have a process that is using outdated data, you transform it into being digitized, well, you'll have a perfectly digitized bad process that is using outdated data. So A is the people, number 2 is the data, and then who runs that? What is the governance model? The governance is extremely important. The input, the output. What kind of data do you need as an input, and what do you expect at the other end of the spectrum? And then finally comes the infrastructure. That's the easiest. You define the parameters, the specifications, and you get it. So if you have the first 3 in place, in my view, the 4th is very important, is the simplest. And if you have people trained well on how to use it, then they will buy the appropriate technology. So back to your point, why do many systems fail? Because you buy technology that you don't need.
Right. Yeah. Maybe.
Or you buy technology that is ridiculously expensive.
Right.
You could have done with much less than that. So digital transformation, can we live without it today? I don't think so. Because the world, as I said, is moving very fast. Again, we should not be only looking at digitizing everything, but at what works in the context that where we're operating, to make us as an organization or as a society or even as an individual better at what we do.
Right. Thank you so much. And let me summarize the podcast for today. I'm really thankful, Dr. Kamel, for your time which you have spent with us today and the kind of insights I've got. So digital transformation is a way of life basically for any organization, because we are in changing times. If you don't change with times, okay, there might be a challenger organization or a startup organization tomorrow who might come suddenly out of the way, make a disruptive innovation and keep you out of business basically, or they will make your business model redundant basically. So a point we are trying to make, digital transformation as clearly defined by Professor Sherif Kamel is very, it's a really lucid definition, I would say basically, that it involves changing the process itself basically. So making a process to work, number 1. Then digital transformation is also about making a substantial change in the way a consumer experiences a product, or a consumer or an organization or a society at large experiences a current or a future product basically. It also involves making changes to your business model basically, and which brings the desired impact on your organization. So I think we had a great session today, sir. And I'm really thankful to your time. I'm really thankful to Dr. Fernandes for co-moderating this session. And these learnings are really helpful for all of us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.